One of the biggest mistakes that a beginner day trader makes is telling other people that they day trade. They tell their family, they tell all their friends, and this is a mistake that could actually set you back a ton of time and cause you to be profitable later on than you had hoped. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the hidden risk and beginning to understand just why telling people is so dangerous. The first thing to understand is that markets are inherently really volatile and really difficult, especially for beginners. I've been trading profitably for about a year and a half now, right? And I have losing days all the time. I have weeks where I don't do super well. I'm still pretty profitable. My mentor, Emmanuel, he made over $500,000 last year, right? He has losing days. I've seen it. He has weeks where he doesn't make a ton of money. Does that mean he's not profitable? Absolutely not. So that is just part of it. And also another thing to understand is that you're a beginner. Obviously, you're going to have more losing days, more break-even days than myself, than my mentor, Emmanuel. Like, that is just part of it, is you're going to have a little bit of a harder time at first. So that's the first thing to understand. The second thing to understand is when you follow a systemic process like day trading and a strategy, the more emotions that get involved within that, the more complicated it gets. The harder it gets, right? Because the more emotions you feel, the more external negative energy comes at you, the worse you perform. It's just natural. 3, another thing to remember. The more information that you receive from varying sources, the more confused you become. That is why every single time that I've ever talked to someone who wants to get started day trading, I ask, hey, are you a beginner? If they say yes, I'm like, okay, perfect. This is actually almost a better student to teach because they have less conflicting information coming into this new program, right? Versus someone who's like, oh yeah, I've tried X, Y, and Z and I traded them profitably for 7 years. They can still become profitable, but it's harder for them because they have a lot of conflicting information about trading, right? So just understand that concept. And finally, stress-driven decisions are generally bad. They're going to lead to mistakes and they're just going to lead to worse results. So let's take those 4 concepts and let's continue with this. So with all those 4 things in mind, another thing to realize is that when you tell a lot of people that you day trade, you're going to hear a lot of negative opinions. Trust me. And I'll tell you my story a bit later. But you are going to get an influx of people that just are very negative about it. And this is why they doubt day trading. They see trading as gambling just because you have the ability to lose money. Is poker gambling? It can be. But if you have an edge and you're a professional player, you actually have a pretty strong mathematical advantage. If you're out there in blackjack, you're counting cards, you will eventually make money if you know math. That's why the casinos kick you out if they see you counting cards. If you're counting cards, you're not technically gambling. You're not going to win every time. But over the course of a longer period of time, you're going to make some money. And the day trading is very similar to that. And a lot of people just don't understand that. And they just don't understand that there is actually a systemic strategy that exists within trading. And there's a lot of strategies out there. And a lot of them work, right? And it does give you an edge. They don't understand that. They just think you're sitting there and you're like, oh, buy, sell, buy. No, absolutely not. There's a lot of complex stuff that goes into learning how to trade, right? Another thing is that they're kind of afraid. They're okay just kind of sitting there and doing their thing. And if they don't like their job, they're okay staying there because they're ultimately afraid to change. And they're taking that fear of you succeeding and taking their insecurity of, oh, I'll never succeed, blah, 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 and projecting it onto you. Their lack of confidence, they're taking that and they're saying, yeah, of course no one can do it because I can't do it. Why would you be able to succeed and make money with this thing? So that's another thing to remember. Also, human beings just naturally, they love guaranteed outcomes. Love it. It's like part of our comfort zone is we love guarantees. But trading is not a profession that's built on that. There's a lot of uncertainty. There is an element of probability, and you're not going to win every single trade that you take, no matter how good the trade is. So here's the thing. We understand now, if you tell all your family, all your friends, blah, 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 that you want to start day trading, you're going to get some negative reactions. And you might be thinking, like, who cares? Like, whatever, I'll prove them wrong, doesn't even matter. Telling a lot of people can cause a whole plethora of issues, trust me. And this opens up something that I like to call the identity trap, where you start performing to say, hey, you're wrong, instead of just sticking to a process and just sticking to your discipline. This will negatively impact your trading. Trust me. you chase approval from those people that are like, hey, it does not work. That's a really big issue because once again, you cannot make trading about proving other people wrong. You have to make it about succeeding within your own strategy because it's less distracting. That's more systematic and it's what works. Day trading is a very systematic thing. You should not have emotions towards other people control what you are doing, right? That makes you start being like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's say somebody is like, well, you made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. You lost money. Like, you made it. And they're like, no, I didn't make a mistake, blah, blah, blah. Like, this was a good trade. It was not a good trade. There's just some trades that you made a mistake, right? You're less likely to recognize your own mistakes because you're trying to defend yourself that, hey, day trading does work. And that can be a really big issue when starting how to day trade. It can really put a hold on progress, right? And overall, you just trade more emotionally once you hear all these people, especially people that are really close to you. You know, if I walk up to some random on the street, I'm like, hey, I day trade, and he's like, doesn't matter, right? But if I tell my close brother or, you know, my best friend of, I don't know, since childhood or whatever that I day trade, and they're like, yeah, I don't like it. It really does something to you. It makes it way harder. So here's another concept, a psychological concept called the explain tax. And this basically inhibits your ability to perform the more you have to explain what you're doing to people who doubt you. Every single time someone asks like a rebuting question against day trading, your brain starts questioning day trading itself because you're getting all these questions, right? It's like, oh, well, day trading, isn't that gambling? You're like, no. They're like, okay, well, day trading, don't 95% of people lose money? You're like, I mean, I guess, yeah, but like, and you give them a whole explanation of why it works and that, you know, 95% of people, frankly, don't put in any work, but it starts lingering on your end. The more questions that start coming towards you, the more you're like, wait a second, is this going to work? And it might even be subconscious, but there is lingering elements of doubt that begin to enter your mind the more you are exposed to that negativity. And the more doubt you have, the more hesitation you have, the more it starts impacting your day-to-day trading. And that's something that you never want to see, hear, doesn't matter, right? All you want is a systemic approach that's as emotionless as possible. You don't want that doubt coming in and ruining your trading. And hesitation just makes it way harder. Like, I'm going to be honest. You cannot hesitate when you place a trade. If I'm in a scalp and I want to get in and out really fast, and I'm thinking, oh, you know, I just had a conversation with someone and they told me day trading is not effective. I got to prove them wrong. And there's a setup on my screen that's objectively great. And I'm just hesitating because I'm like, oh, but what if I lose money and blah, blah, blah. It just makes it harder. You're less likely to execute well, right? So let's talk about me. My own story, how I know this from personal experience, because when I started day trading, I was telling anybody and everybody that I was beginning to day trade. I literally lived through every single one of these emotions that I've talked about today. I was telling my parents, I was telling my grandparents, I was telling my friends, and pretty much everybody was like, yeah, it's not going to work. You have to go to college, you have to get a degree. Day trading is gambling. Everybody loses money. You know, they even, like, a few of my family members tried to get me to read a book where one of the people committed suicide because he lost a lot of money day trading. And I was like, this is like crazy. The amount of pushback I'm getting from something that I'm really passionate about, right? And it really began eating away at me initially. And I do think it slowed my progress. Every single time that I would lose money or have a break-even day, and this still happens to this day, by the way, and I tell, you know, people around me, like my mom, for example, I'm like, hey, you know, day trading, I'm not having a good day today, whatever. And she's like, I can almost hear in her voice or in their voice, whoever I tell, that they're like, yeah, that it just doesn't work. But they're not as supportive on the good days as they are on the bad days, just because humans naturally gravitate towards negativity, right? And for me, this actually really affected my trading at first. It really did. I ended up making some really questionable trades, especially in the beginning, because all I was trying to do was prove my parents wrong, that, hey, this can be a career. I can make it. And it made me make questionable decisions in the beginning. And it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and recognition that their validation does not affect in the slightest how much money I can make with day trading to break past that, right? And all these constant explanations, and just every time someone asks me, hey, like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, yeah, I day trade. And they're like, It just takes energy out of you. Like, honestly, it does. Every time you talk to people. So at this point, I just tell people I work online for the most part. And if they have more questions, I just point them another way. I'm just like, yeah, I'm with stocks. All right. And here's a really important truth that you need to understand about trading is that trading success ultimately comes from taking proven processes, proven strategies, and that's it. That's all you should focus on. And how do you go about actually mastering those strategies in a non-emotional, concise way? You have to rely on routine because as motivated as you are to day trade, that motivation will inevitably fail. I'm going to be honest, complete transparency. I was way more motivated going into trading every single morning a year ago than I am today. Way more motivated because it was new to me. I was excited. And this is ultimately why a lot of people start failing is because of that concept that they just rely purely on motivation. Trading, journaling, all that stuff, it really needs to come down to routine, that you're used to doing this, not that you want to do it. And, that will help you build the discipline to get good at trading and actually master these systems. Another thing, a lot of these people opinions about markets, about stocks, the fact that Bitcoin's going to zero or Bitcoin's going to $1 million are extraordinarily uneducated opinions, right? Just because my grandmother is sitting there and telling me that Bitcoin is a scam when she has a degree in music does not mean that Bitcoin is a scam. And you have to almost tune that out. You have to analyze price action and use that to base all of your decisions off of. And seeking external validation especially on price action, like I said, I've been saying it the whole video, it doesn't work. It really leads to failure. But here's the thing. You do want to tell some people that you're trading. It's really hard to do something as big, take a big of a step towards your life as beginning to day trade, because every single person that wants to day trade, for me, they want to change their life. They want to make more money. They want to have more financial freedom. They want to travel more, a whole plethora of things, right? There are some people that you want to tell. So who do you tell? Well, these are the 3 filters that help. 1, are they a generally understanding, supportive person? And do they understand what day trading is? Because it's honestly really hard to talk about trading with non-traders and having to explain that. Do they at least have a basic understanding of what day trading is? The fact that it can work. And 2, do they actually want you to win and succeed? Because there's so many people around you that, and I mentioned this earlier, that are just insecure. And they would rather watch you fall down with them than watch you to succeed. There's so many people like that in the world. And I have had friends like that. And you don't want to tell those people that you day trade because they will weigh you down. Do you feel calmer after talking with them? Do you feel supported? If you have a losing day and you reach out to them and you talk to them about it, do they make you feel better or make you feel more insecure, less confident about your trading? Those are extremely important factors to figure out, hey, who should I tell and who shouldn't I tell? What type of person am I telling? Let's summarize it. The first thing that you want to do is you have to recognize that we have to let as little external emotions affect our trading as possible. Now, obviously, we're human. We're going to have stuff that affects us. We're going to have a bad day. We're going to be angry at times. It's part of being human, right? I don't know why I'm being so pedantic. However, you can limit the amounts of negative emotions that you experience by limiting who you tell that you day trade, because a lot of people are going to have very negative reactions. You want to maintain a consistent, systematic approach when you day trade, right? You want to have a set strategy. You want to have a set risk unit, and you want to trust your process. Now, here's the thing. If you genuinely have no idea what you're doing with trading, you don't have a process, and you're kind of like, Yuri, like, you just told me all this stuff. Don't tell people you day trade. I don't even day trade. Like, how do I do that? There is a completely 10-hour free course in my bio right now. Go sign up, 100% free. Or if you want to take it to the next level and trade live, you can see our screens with myself, with my mentor Emmanuel. The link in bio is there to apply. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.